Welcome to the Cauldron of Curiosities.
Isn't it? So, when you're negotiating and you say, right, I'll do 3, and they go, no, I want 5. Mab, I want you to write 5 poems in exchange.
Well, they could just be like haikus, very short.
Yeah.
Don't specify.
And do you find haiku easy to do?
No.
How easy do you find haiku?
I didn't write haiku for a lot of years because I felt that they were like the pinnacle of poetry forms. So I didn't write them for a long. I mean, I lived in Japan when I was in my early 20s, and I just think haiku coming from Japan, they're just perfection. It's all about Zen, isn't it? And being in the now and like a snapshot. They can be so perfect, so affecting. So I found them really hard to write before, but now I do find them easier. Yes.
So what is it when you're writing haiku? What are you trying to achieve?
Well, I have written a book of haiku. It's called 111 Haiku for Lockdown. And with that, it was kind of a diary. And I wrote them all within 24 hours. And it was just kind of snapshots of the day. And they're kind of modern haiku. So they didn't follow any particular rules. They didn't even follow like the 5-7-5 syllabic structure, because we don't have to in English, I believe, because in Japanese, the kanji that they write them in, the ideograms they're so much more complex. They've got so many more associations. We can't write the same richness of poem if we keep to the same syllabic count. So Jack Kerouac and other writers, they didn't do 5-7-5 for that reason. So that book that I wrote was just like modern haiku, and it didn't have any rules. So you could argue they're not even haiku. I felt that they were. So they were like a snapshot, and that's one of the rules. But I tend towards the other rules of haiku when I write them now. So I don't keep to the 5-7-5 count. But I do include like Kigo, which is nature words to show the season. And I do tend to have it in 2 parts. So there's one image and then there's another image. So the images juxtapose. And I do tend to have themes of, life and death, because they're the major themes of haiku, being primarily nature poetry. It's all about seasonality. So I tend to do that. Do you write haiku?
I have done in the past. I can't remember when I did it. I was doing it. It would have been before 2024, because I was still living in a house. And I think I was putting them on Facebook or Instagram. Actually, it was probably Instagram. So I was chucking them up on Instagram and having a play, because it seemed to be a thing, that I was going, oh, let's do this. I have these bright ideas, and I rumble through them, have a play for a while, and then something else catch my eye, and I whiz off down that rabbit hole. But I did a book of poetry, and it was bizarre, because I actually had like a download of 21 poems at the same time. Literally, they rolled out.
Yeah.
I do not know. It was bizarre. So I just wrote them all down, but that was when I did the book. Julia Cameron's book, The Artist's Way.
Yeah.
It's about accessing your creativity. And as a result of that book, that made me write poetry, which I was quite surprised. And you write poems when you are even within your journaling, once you do the 3 morning pages style, if you go back through your pages, you will see that you naturally write poems.
That's nice.
And there will be elements, and maybe that's something that links to what you were saying about the haiku, because sometimes it's about a snapshot and it drives a narrative that is poetic and stands out from the narrative of the daily things that you're recording. And you're going, because it's really obvious, but at the time you don't notice it. And that's what I found was quite bizarre. So I had to go back. I had to review my journal writing and go, oh, look, when did I write that? I don't even remember writing it. So the subconscious has a capacity to write poetry, and we just need to get out of its way.
I think so. I mean, there's lots of different definitions of what poetry is, but I often do think it's the soul speaking. It's my definition. So got to let go of the control again. That's what you're saying.
We do, yeah, 100%. And because life is so much more content if you can flow, and rather than going, this has definitely got to happen, and I'm going to make it happen, that just increases stress, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And we end up fighting ourselves, because if something gets in the way, then we've got to deal with it. We've got to get on with that and maybe not worry so much. And I think it allows you to, if you're in flow, you'll pick up other stuff. You'll pick up other information, because your relaxed state allows you to see, your observation picks up, and you become more in connection with everything that's going on around you.
I think a lot of people don't know how to let go or how to begin. And I didn't when I was a young person. Like, I read a lot, but I couldn't see myself. And I didn't know how to become what I thought I could become. You know, when I saw the future, I saw my own potential. I was probably a bit scared of it as well. Like, how could I get from that to that? I didn't know. I think people just don't know, and I think the information then is kept from them. And I think meditation was really important for me, just going in to myself.
Yeah.
People aren't encouraged to do that. We're back to watching bargain hunts again, aren't we? People are distracted.
We are.
I found
Well, we don't, I suppose.
Yeah, go on.
No, I was going to say, you're right. We are back to that, distractions, and what is put in our way and made easy for us, which is why we all have broadband now.
Yeah, we do. I found yesterday, I found the tuning forks to be really magical. Like, I was such a Puritan when I was younger. I didn't have anything, no outward show of my spiritual interest, which was like the biggest thing in my life. You know, I didn't talk about it. I had all my books, but they were, again, private. I didn't share them. I did meditate. I didn't tell people that. It was I didn't belong to any groups, really. I would sometimes go to groups. I didn't belong to them. But when I discovered tuning forks 1 year ago, they were like actual magic wands. And I found yesterday that the 528 hertz, which is one of the solfeggio frequencies, as you know, it was like melting. It felt like in my stomach, it was just melting the tension away. It was just melting. And then if you've got something like that can just literally melt tension, it's easier. It's much easier to let go of control and outcome and worry about the
Yeah.
future, worry about the past. And really,
Yeah.
the fork was doing that. Was I letting it happen? I guess. But, meditation is fantastic. It's been key. And then healing. And I've always found them to be the same thing. Meditation and healing, they're always the same for me. I don't see them as different. But then to have like instruments, magical instruments, has been a revelation this past year. Yeah. It's amazing.
I think as you say, the tuning forks have huge capacity to change how we are and how we link. And even if all they do for a person is help them relax and have a moment of stillness, then that's a blessing, isn't it?
It's a huge blessing, I think. Because stillness is, again, key. And we're not taught that is important. We're always taught to be moving, So we're kind of trapped in time. We're trapped with all these distractions. We're trapped with thoughts of, worries, I guess. Especially, what we're going to appear like and how we seem. And I'm not quite free of all those at the minute, but hopefully
Well,
I
I think
will.
mentally, we often believe that if we're not busy, if we're not productive, then we're seen as being lazy. And you said this quite early on. It's about we're programmed to be achievers. We're meant to be producing something, whether it's children, and so is our role in society about constantly serving and producing? And how do we work that, and which part of it is something that we really do have to do, as in serving others and helping them become aware? And even if it's a case of you talking about learning to become still and how you do it, one person might hear you and you've changed their life.
Therefore, it's important to speak.
We can, yeah. So I think it's a bit of a dichotomy, isn't it? Because I think sometimes it feels like our sole purpose is very productive, but I feel part of my sole purpose is productive, but it doesn't bring me any money. It's not a capitalist activity, and because sharing knowledge should be free, sharing information and encouraging people to reconsider and maybe go, I didn't know that. Maybe I will go and read that book. Maybe I will go back and look at it again. Maybe I won't be so worried about that. Somebody else thought that thing. So there's a fiction book, which is called The Accidental Medium. And I really enjoyed it. It was a fun book. It was a fictional book, but she is actually, it says that it reflects her lifestyle to some extent of her psychic abilities and how she really didn't want to connect with the spiritual side. So it was very eye-opening from that point. But she talked about how she did her protective bubble and she was the first person, and to see it written in print, it was exactly how I did mine, which was I always used to have this visualization that I would be like a ready brek man, and it would be the ready brek glow was my protective mechanism of how I would ping it on, because I was able to create that image in my head. And she said this in the book, and I thought, I can't believe somebody else does it the same way as me. And it was just such a marvelous feeling to think I wasn't the only person that did it that way.
Yeah. Maybe you could ask people to write in if they do the Ready Brek style of personal
Yeah.
protection, or encourage people to look up the YouTube video of the old advert and give it a go. It's quite fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it's quite an easy way.
Mm,
I suppose if you grew up with that image,
mm,
you have that sense of it.
mm,
And yeah, it'd be interesting to know what
mm,
people are thinking when they hear us saying that. So what is it they do? Do they have a advert image that
mm,
helps them put into place like the
mm,
Michelin Man or something like that? What is it they do for their protection, and
mm,
and what does it look like?
mm, mm. I've learned a lot about protections over the years. Some I read, but a lot of them I just sort of intuited or worked out, or you could say remembered from maybe a
Mm,
past life. So I'll probably write a book on that at some point, because there's so many now. I do still
mm.
use them. I tried not using them, and then I just got sort of attacked by things a bit more. That was recent, but my aura's not quite what I need it to be. I'm working on it. It's getting stronger and stronger because, yeah, don't know. I had a lot to do in this life, all the past life traumas. That was sort of the main focus at the start until
Yeah.
recently. I mean, it was only this year that I realized, like February, I think. I've done all the traumas, like all the past life deaths, terrible deaths. Done. Cleared them. Took a while. And now I'm just sort of doing karmic clear up and some some accidents from past lives. So not traumas exactly, not like big traumas like being buried alive or crucified or having your throat cut, all of the things that I remember. And remembered from childhood. The first one is one I remembered as a child. My brother remembered it too, because he's the one who murdered me. In fact, all my family in this life have murdered me in a past life. Not that I'm blame
Oh
free.
God.
I have done some bad things, some of the lives, and they were the more difficult ones to deal with, actually. But yeah, I've kind of done it now. So now it's just like I'm meeting people where there's some cleanup to do, so relationships to clear, and the odd
Mm-hmm.
accidents, like physical accidents. So the other night, like I saw a line on my index finger, like it was in the skin, because all these things have been in my actual physical body. Like they really forced me to look at them. There was a line on this finger at night, and it was
Mm-hmm.
really deep. I was like, have I like cut myself somehow? Like what's happened? And I could see my finger being cut off. I was like, what's happening? And then the next morning it was gone. It was really weird. I mean, I don't like saying things are weird. It wasn't weird. It was part of the karmic clearing that I've been doing all this life. But, the big stuff's done now.
That's good.
Yeah, I can have fun, apparently. I'm not sure what that even looks like. I am really giving it a go, really trying. When you've been doing that for 47 years, like, what does fun look like? So, back to the play parks for adults. I need to create one in the
Yeah.
garden.
You should.
I might
Yeah. Do the
actually.
things that you enjoy.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean,
It's quite freeing, isn't it? To go, I can do what I want. I can do what I want. As in, do no harm to others, but
mm,
you can be who you want to be. If you want to do a
mm,
forward roll on the grass,
mm,
then you can do that.
Yeah. I mean, I always felt like I had something to do, and I came to the conclusion over time that the thing I have to do is to be myself, and maybe that's what everyone has to do. Just got to be totally ourselves,
I think
whatever
you're
that
right.
looks like.
Yeah,
You know, when I
I
was,
think you are right.
hmm,
Yeah,
that's it. But then to get to be yourself, you might have to do a bit of, in quotation marks, work, a little bit of work. And the work is always the same work. It's always like finding out who you are, really.
yeah, yeah.
And that's it.
And you
Sounds
might
so
not like,
easy.
yeah, and you might not like yourself.
You might not like yourself, but I had, well, my second
Yeah,
Reiki teacher, I will mention his name, Robert Light, really great person, very magic. He said, because when I was younger, I did hate myself. And he said, well, you can go from self-hate to self-dislike to self-acceptance to self-like to self-love. You can kind of do it in stages. And that was really useful. So I think sometimes having a staged approach, because people think with spiritual things it's got to be like a pill, like you can do it in an instant, like you can be enlightened in an instant. Maybe it's,
yeah,
you know, it's about showing people that it can be in stages, from dark to light, from not knowing to knowing, or however you
yeah,
perceive the journey of enlightenment, ascension, whatever you want to call it. Knowing yourself is what I would probably say.
yeah. I think it can be quite difficult, can't it? Because it can appear that some people will almost go, oh, there was a moment that I suddenly became one thing when I was the other.
Hmm.
And but is that the truth? Is that real? Or have they spent decades ploughing through activities and being offered opportunities
Mm.
and maybe not taking them at the right time? Because sometimes we get offered opportunities and when there's something comes up
Mm.
and you have a part of you that goes, oh, I'm going to do that. Well, I've had something. Part of my learning journey recently has been not to volunteer for things,
Mm.
and I'm not allowed. I'm not. It's really weird because I get a very strong message. I'm not to offer to help someone
Mm.
because
Mm.
that's not my job. Because I've done it for the last 60 years. If somebody's been struggling,
Yeah.
I would always go, is there anything I can do to help with that? And then I realised that part of my being the helper, wanting to help, was I wasn't really being authentic to who I wanted to be, and because I was being a servant,
Mm.
and it's not my job to be
Mm.
someone else's slave.
Mm.
And because when I did some past life regression,
Mm.
I was always a servant. I was always serving someone else.
Mm.
And that seems to be something that I'm not needing to do anymore. I've served my country. I've served it, well, in double ways as a nurse and being in the armed forces.
Mm.
But did it bring me, was I always seeing who I really was? I wasn't, because you change yourself to try and fit in. And it took me a long time to realise that I was just naturally that particular way, but people couldn't accept me for being a person who, if there was a job needed doing, I'd say, come on, let's do the work and you can chat later.
Mm.
So you can imagine how popular I was.
Mm.
So, and I think that's something to be mindful of, but you never really know why you don't quite feel comfortable. But I always had this sense women were dangerous.
But do you remember the past life where they hurt you?
No, I don't. I've not had that exploration. The ones I've had have been much more cryptic. But it takes time. And as you said, there's no pill. There's no quick fix. You just got to. You do have to do the work, and that is really annoying. If you feel you're at the beginning of your journey, to have somebody tell you you've got to do the work, this is not going to happen. That can be incredibly. It can be off-putting. You can make you think, oh, I can't be asked. I don't want to do it.
It can be off-putting, although in my experience, the people who feel they're at the beginning and not really at the beginning, they'll probably have like past life experience that will come to the fore at some point. People who think they're masters are usually total beginners, in my experience. You know. So if you've got like that sense you're a beginner, that's actually such a good thing. I think that's a really healthy thing. And it's nice to be learning new things, what seem like new things, you know, and maybe some will come more easily, and maybe for whatever reason, maybe that is past life or whatever. But it's nice to have that kind of beginner's mind, I think. It's nice, it's fresh, keeps things fresh. Yes, the ones who think that they're absolute, you know, gurus and masters and all those that I'm a bit wary of, and they're usually such young souls.
Yeah, I suppose if you think about it, if you put into mind the library of Alexandria, all those scrolls, no, there can't be one person who can remember everything that's in them. And you're constantly need to be able to find where the index is. And once you've found the index of going, okay, I know how to get to that index. You can then say, right, now I can start finding the other bits of information, and maybe I've got some opportunities. And then you open your ears and you sometimes get offered opportunities for you to get more information. And then I suppose one thing that I read that sort of freaks me out a little bit is when something comes up and you go, shit, did I miss my chance? Did I miss it? Did I miss the boat? And that fear of missing the boat is quite strong. But I don't think, maybe I'm just being ever hopeful. I do think we get offered multiple opportunities to develop. And so if we're not ready, if we're not open to that lesson, then we might go back a little bit, but then we'll get given a different lesson that might draw us in a different way and appeal to our sense of readiness. And maybe we do get offered like a walk drive moment where we get given the opportunity to try something. And that part of us that go, nope, can't do it. And the universe is going, you could do this, you'd be really good at it. And you're like, nope, not happening. I'm not comfortable with it.
Yeah.
And so we avoid the opportunity to test ourselves in maybe an unusual situation. So, and I'm quite good at making excuses for not doing things in groups of women.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's no right or wrong with these things.
Yeah.
I did have a couple of like those warp drive moments in my life. One as a child, multiple as a child. Maybe all children do, I don't know. I just felt like I often had the urge to like lie down on the ground when I was a child in like a public arena, like in school assembly. And I felt that if I lay down and just like gave up, I'd be lifted off the earth and everything would change. I never did it. I wasn't brave because I worried what people thought. You may have noticed that. It's sort of a theme with me. And then when I was in my
You'll enjoy it. You will. Yeah, just yes, it's funny. It's like even when you play with the sun and the way the sun interacts with you, that's personal between you and the sun, and how you do that. Remember when I don't know if you did it when you were a child, when you used to make shadow puppets. And you can do that when the sun's really strong, and we can play and make those silly things. It might seem silly, but we're playing with the sun. We're having to play with it. We're playing with the thing that's creating the light. I It is. Yeah, I think it's the playing bit that's probably the bit that's got the loveliness to it. And yeah, it's like today, while I've been talking to you, I've had several hoverflies have come in to see what we're up to. And we've had a bumblebee came in, did a whiz round and went off again. But I love how nature just goes, so what are you up to? Let me have a little nosy. And yeah, the curiosity of life is all around us and makes me think, yes, that's why I'm curious too. Well, yeah. So thank you very much. Thank you very much for coming along today. And I appreciate you sitting in the garden with your blanket on. Of course, anytime. You know how to get hold of me, and we're zooming tonight, aren't we? I wasn't quite sure. I thought we were zooming later. Yeah, you might find there'll be some people lurking. Yeah, they might turn up. um, yeah, but anyway, I'm going to be heading up Wales way soon, so I'll be going. Mab, get your eyeliner on. We're gonna go and play. You want to? Well, we used to do that, didn't we, when we were kids? Do you want to come out to play? And you'd go off, use your imagination, and wander off in the woods, and that's part of the childhood. And we need to do that. Come out and play. Let's just go and see what happens. Yeah. Oh. Yeah. Although your partner will probably go, there's some scruffy vans just turned up in the street. Yeah. Oh, lovely. Right. I will let you go, and thank you very much for coming on. And just as a quick reminder, if you want to find Mab, she's on the .co.uk. So that's www.mabjones.co.uk. Poet and magician. And new to play. All right, lovely. I would like to thank Mab Jones for joining me on the Cauldron of Curiosities. Unfortunately, Riverside FM decided to stop recording Mab's part of the conversation, and I have a significant amount of video footage of me nodding my head as Mab was explaining
some of her experiences with meeting some of the opportunities that the universe might offer. If you would like to ask any questions, you can find Mab at www.mabjones.co.uk, or you can always ask me on info@thedandelion.moon.co.uk, or comment. And don't forget that both Mab and I would be really interested to know what you do for protection. Do you have a visual that you are able to pick up really quickly? And watch out for Mab's next book. As she said, she's going to write about protections, and I believe she's got another book in the pipeline. So there is a list of Mab's books available on her website, and they would make interesting reading. And I hope you've enjoyed this session, and I look forward to talking to you again.